Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Hey everybody, I want a wisdom. I actually had two people yesterday DM me on Twitter and request that I continue the cheesy video intros from time to time. Didn't do it in the round 2 results. Figured what the heck for round 3 matchups. So from time to time I'll do something incredibly stupid that makes myself out to be an idiot. Just basically for everyone's amusement and or enjoyment. But that aside, round 2 just recorded the results. Like I mentioned, I've been out of town and I've been super ridiculously busy. So round 3 is already underway. Again, that's kind of why I always reference the Twitter link. That's the easiest way for me to kind of update stuff like, hey, I'm at a really, bad hotel that doesn't have internet as advertised, but I've gone ahead and opened up the poll type deal. So round 3 well underway. There's still 11 days to vote though. This isn't too far behind schedule. That said, we are down basically. Round 2 obviously had 16. Round 3 we've got 8. This is where things are getting very, very interesting. Our number 1 seed bracket, which is kind of there at the top left hand corner, if you will, that is going to be very cool. It's kind of been a total toss-up in that one. You got 12 versus 16. The way the Skylanders are arranged, the ones on the outside, where you see Terrafin, Sunburn, Bash, and Camo, they are our higher ranked Skylanders, meaning they're closer to number 1. And then those on the inside, Ignitor, Trigger Happy, Slam Bam, and Cynder, basically going to be our lower ranked Skylanders in the matchup provided. I say that because I basically try to keep it where, Camo number 2 and number 4 Sunburn, are headed for the finals. They've kind of got their eye on the prize, whereas the lower seeded character kind of has their back against the wall. So symbolism, convenience, whatever you want to call it, that's how it's laid out. But we will begin in the number 1 seed bracket. Keep in mind, Warnado just got knocked off by Slam Bam, and Terrafin tore through Zap. That said, we have 12 Terrafin and 16 Slam Bam. I will be honest with you, these are 2 of my favorite Skylanders. I'm not actually going to release that video until after this initial battle. I don't want people to be like biased or something. But this, I will be honest, this would have been like an ideal final matchup for me. I know, granted, with the way that they were seated, in the fan vote bracket, couldn't really happen. But they both overcame quite a bit to get to where they were, and now they are squaring off against each other. This is a very interesting one. Neither one of, they're both kind of like, close quarter brawlers. They don't really have the, long range projectile attacks. It's almost like they're just going to go head to head and tear each other apart. Currently, Terrafin is actually up 14 votes against Slam Bam. I could see this one kind of trading off, he surges ahead, Slam Bam catches him and reemerges, etc. But I mean, this is just kind of like one of those fantasy matchups. They're just 2 characters that, there's no real clear distinction. You don't have, like I said, a projectile versus a close quarter or something. It's not an off matchup. It's just, power meets power here, in my opinion. So, again, 12 Terrafin versus 16 Slam Bam. This is probably going to be one of my favorite matchups from the entire battle tournament here. Our other side, our number 2 bracket, we have Camo has actually advanced on. He is our highest seed remaining in the tournament, and he finds himself up against yet another dragon in Cynder. Camo, last I knew, which was just a few minutes ago, which should be accurate, was up 15 votes on Cynder. Obviously, both have a very nice fan base, and Camo being the number 2 seed has progressed as you'd expect. Really, the same can be said for Cynder. She came in, took out Hex, then took out Ghost Roaster, so it's kind of cool she's not having to take out another undead element character or something. But should be an interesting matchup here, in all honesty. Like I said, it's a 15-point margin right now in favor of Camo. Coming down to our number 3 seed bracket, This one has completely gone unscripted. We have, where we should technically have number 3 Whamshell taking on number 6 Lightning Rod. We had 2 upsets in round 2, so we have number 10 Trigger Happy taking on number 14 Bash. Trigger Happy obviously downed Lightning Rod in round 2. Round 1 he took out Drill Sergeant, and Bash took out a fan favorite Whamshell in round 2. Prior to that, he actually took out Zook in round 1. I felt like that was kind of a tough matchup for Bash. But you basically have, you know, Mr. Demolition here and Happy Gun here. It's kind of, Bash is sort of more of a close range guy. You know, he's got the roll going on and everything, but you know, Trigger Happy's advantage is kind of just that he attacks from a long range. Does have the lower health. But this one should be pretty interesting. And it is right now by far the tightest race. Bash is up by 3. Both had big surges last time in round 2. Trigger Happy actually kind of came in, looked like he was down and out, and took out Lightning Rod. So he's obviously got a very nice fan base. Obviously everyone's going to have him regardless of the version of the game. And it's just, like I've always said, it's just really easy to like a guy that walks around with 2 guns and aimlessly shoots everything. That said, Bash, you know, he's not the most interesting looking character, and you know, he's, you know, not very many people's absolute favorite. That said, I think anyone that spent time with the game realizes how well he upgrades, and more importantly, just the mass damage that he does, even in box stock form. So like I said, I feel like everybody's being pretty fair with this, but we have basically the bracket busted here. Number 10 Trigger Happy taking on 14 Bash. Currently, it is a +3 margin in favor of Trigger Happy. Our final round 3 matchup, the Elite 8 if you will, is a Fire Element Showdown. This bracket, unlike the others, I guess, you know, to the credit, 2 and 7 kind of lined up just like it should have been. In all honesty, it should have been 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, and 4 versus 5 if everything went by the polls. But like I said, you know, I feel like we've kind of had, you know, a changing of the guard, people actually voting for the, you know, who they think would win the battle, etc. And there's just been some tough matchups for some, but this one went exactly as scripted by, you know, the fan vote poll. You've got number 4 Sunburn taking on number 5 Ignitor. This should be very, very intense, you know, hot matchup, if you will. Sunburn came through round 1, already took out Eruptor, and then in round 2 he took down Double Trouble, who I felt, you know, was one of the stronger characters coming in. Ignitor at the 5 seed took down Stump Smash relatively easily, and then took out another fan favorite, Stealth Elf, the number 9 seed. So he has really kind of made his way through the life element here, and now they're basically going to square off fire versus fire, 4 versus 5. Ignitor currently is up by the widest margin in round 3, 23 votes. So there you have it. I'll come in now, I'll kind of show you my bracket and everything. Just to sort of recap, we've got 2 Earth Element Skylanders and number 12 Terrafin and number 14 Bash. Life Element, we're down to 1, thanks in large part to you know, Ignitor. But Camo's there at the number 2 seed. At the number 7 seed, we have our only Undead Element contender left in Cynder. Let's see, like I said, Bash is at 14. Fire Element, we've got 4 and 5. You know, very high ranked characters there. Obviously, one's going to go down this round. And then now actually our lowest seed is number 16 Slam Bam Water Element. So again, we've got 2 Earth, 2 Fire, 1 Tech, 1 Life, 1 Undead, and 1 Water. Sadly, you know, no air and magic here, but that's the way it panned out. If it helps anybody, you know, I still kind of get a few people every once in a while kind of say they don't understand the brackets or something. This was Warnado, who in theory should have the easiest time to get, you know, just number-wise, to the finals right here and be crowned the champion. Obviously, you'd have 32, and then like I said, if everything had gone according to plan, he would be taking on the 8th seed, Spyro. And then to make it easiest on Mornado, our number 1 seed, assuming that, you know, everything goes according to plan, he would take out the 8 seed here in the 1 bracket. Then in the semifinals, he does not play Camo, you know, or something like that. He would actually be going up against the number 4 seed. You know, don't pay attention to the matchup, just, you know, 1 versus 4 is an easier time than, say, 2 versus 3. So that's essentially how it's laid out. You know, I've got our number 1 bracket here, and then our number 4 bracket. And then on the flip side, we've got 2 versus 3, essentially, if everything goes according to plan. So the way it would pan out, like I said, you'd have 1 versus 4 here, 1 would advance. You've got 2 versus 3 here in the semifinals, and then 2 would advance. You'd have 1 versus 2. And bear in mind, there were upsets, you know, things change, stuff comes up that you don't expect, etc. So it doesn't pan out that way, but I mean, in theory, you know, I think that'll kind of help people out. But as you can see, Slam Bam taking on Terrafin. This is our 16 versus 12. In the number 2 bracket, we actually have number 2 Camo taking on number 7 Cynder. Down in the number 3 bracket, you can kind of see the progression there. We have Bash, number 14, taking on Trigger Happy, number 10. And then in our number 4 bracket, which there you sort of see the progression we've had to get to this point, we've got 4 Sunburn versus 5 Ignitor. So essentially, the winner of Slam Bam and Terrafin will advance to take on the winner of Sunburn and Ignitor. Similarly over here, we will have the winner of Camo and Cynder advance to take on the winner of Bash and Trigger Happy. So, hopefully that helps you out. And like I said, you know, the poll actually dictates the winner. I don't actually do these battles. Again, that's solely because Activision, for whatever brilliant reason, made battle mode 2-player only. There's no single-player option. I can't take on a CPU. And, you know, I figure this is the next best thing. Plus, it kind of keeps you more involved anyway. So these are our round 3 matchups. As I mentioned, they are already underway. My apologies on that. Like I said, I was out of town, bad hotel, no internet, etc. And this is my first chance to kind of get caught up. But I'll get round 2 results up, and then obviously round 3 here. Like I always say, you know, spread the word, tell your friends, cast your vote. I know a lot of people, I guess, have either just been checking the blog or Twitter, you know, or Facebook or something, and kind of kept up and knew to vote. You know, I think we've got roughly 60-ish votes in all 4 of these. For the rest of you, you know, now you know. Again, my apologies on the delay, but these should be some really, really close matchups. Obviously, if you make it from 32 to 8, you've got a lot of support. And now it's just kind of going to get down to where people have to pick their favorites. And then we have stuff where, say, you know, I've seen a lot of people, Drobot and Stealth Elf were their favorite. You know, now they're both out, so how do they pan into the votes? With Stealth Elf gone, you know, do you hold a grudge against Ignitor? Do you, you know, like Camo from the Life Element, etc.? So like I said, so far this has gone over very well. I think everyone seems to be enjoying it. Main thing is cast your vote, and you can do that on the blog, oneofwisdom.blogspot.com. Scroll down the right hand side just below the Twitter feed. You'll find the polls. I keep the latest ones at the top just so they're easier to get to. And I think, like I said, this is going to be some pretty tight matchups. Currently the tightest, you know, is Bash and Trigger Happy. But one of my favorite battles, if I could actually just take all 32 and throw them together, would actually be in our number 1 bracket, 12 Terrafin and 16 Slam Bam. The two just match up incredibly well due to their, you know, kind of physical brawl style, if you will. But like I said, then you kind of got the dragon squaring off the fire element, and then just kind of a offbeat match, two just totally different characters in Bash and Trigger Happy. So I think, like I said, this one will be interesting. Polls still have 11 days, plenty of time to vote. And like I said, round 2, we had some stuff where it looked like Lightning Rod was going to advance. You know, Double Trouble was up pretty good. And then just like the last 2 days, literally, I mean, it kind of took a turn from being neck and neck to just opened up, you know, 10-20 vote margins. So definitely stay on your toes, monitor the polls, you know, that way you can kind of keep up with them. on Twitter from time to time I'll chime in, kind of say what races are tight. And you can, of course, if you don't want to go to Twitter, just check that on the blog, or you can check yourself actually. But I think this will be very interesting. And again, my apologies on the delay. But like I always say, stuff happens. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for your votes. Hope you're still enjoying this. You can follow me on Twitter. Like I said, that's kind of your best source for quick updates. You can like me on Facebook. You can also, of course, follow along on the blog, oneofwisdom.blogspot.com. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you back for round 3 results and our round 4 matchups.